Well, I went down, things changing for me.
John had an appointment with his old boss at the printing shop on Wednesday morning to apologize and maybe see if he could get some kind of job there again. He hadn't drunk a drop on Tuesday, and as a result, he couldn't sleep. He kept tossing and turning and even got up at 2 in the morning to pour out the whiskey and beer that he still had in his room. He put his pants on to take a bag of empties down to the garbage bin. If Sam could do it, maybe he could too. He was hoping the guy had succeeded. He had just moved out like James had, leaving no word behind. At 9 o'clock in the morning, he was showered and even wore a tie. He had made sure his clothes didn't smell. He was sitting in the front office reception area, as he had done so long ago, right after he had been promoted to journeyman printer at the last place. This place had a much better reputation, and still did. Wayne, the vice president, came out of his office, shook his hand, and brought him back to his office. He wasn't angry, which John took as a promising sign. The man's black framed glasses were always in agreement with his crisp white shirt and serious tie. "John, what can I do for you?" "Well, I wanted to apologize for the drunken mess I made of myself, and I'm sorry I made a scene. Nobody here deserved that kind of treatment. You understand that you have made it a necessity. I, can't endanger employees. You and your helper might have gotten in a serious accident with that big two-color press. You've seen men's hands caught in and destroyed the rollers. You yourself barely missed losing a finger when you were at the printer's devil." John glanced down slightly flattened tip of the middle finger of his right hand. "Yes, sir." He looked back up at the man and had known for a long, long time. "I'm not hoping for my old job back, but I'd be happy to come back doing any kind of grunt work. I had a career, kinda, and I don't really know what to do, and I really don't know anything else. Finding work elsewhere without a good reference isn't going to happen." "I'm sorry, John." The conversation was over. John looked at the man and stood. Wayne got up as well and offered him his hand. John just could not shake it. He turned and left. The receptionist tried not to look up as he left. Out on the sidewalk, John didn't know what to do with himself. He wandered back toward the French Quarter. The streetcar rumbled by, but he wasn't at the stop ahead, and he didn't feel like running for it. Fuck it. He would walk. He had hoped for a little more discussion, a little more compassion. There was absolutely none to be had anywhere. The gang was trying to set up the sale with his fucking scary. Even if the money from the cocaine didn't happen, it would eventually run out, and printing was all he knew. He couldn't imagine doing anything else. He'd end up a clerk at a liquor store or a street sweeper. And Dady was already losing interest in him, and on every level. He'd call her, and if he didn't reach her, she would put him off. The morning he had fixed Cindy's gas leak had been the first time he had been with her in 2 months. And the time before that had been a month. The same fucking recording on her answer machine drove him crazy, because he purposely called when he knew she was home, and he could imagine her listening and then erasing it. The day before he had lost his job, he had tried all day long to reach her. He had gone and hit the bar the night right after work because he couldn't face going home to that lousy apartment one more time. And it turned to be an all-nighter. He had gone to the job about 5 in that morning. He had keys. He let himself in and started the printer prep. When the few that started at 7 in the morning appeared, all tried to get him to leave, and they would vouch for him, tell management he was sick. He had refused. It went downhill from there. They disconnected the power from the printer so he couldn't turn it on. That just made him angrier. They had probably saved his life. What had happened to Dady? He found her in the quarter one night a long time ago. She was sexy and cute. He didn't mind paying. It was easier that way, and she had to come back to his apartment. She was very kind. He had made her smile from some silly remark he made. He had her number. Somehow in the next couple of months, they would start an evening having dinner together and then go to his place. Then it was dinner and a movie or a jazz club and then to his place. They had light outdoor cafes where they could watch people and talk. The talk was mostly silly and about everything little except when it was about things they both liked. A movie, some trombone player in the quarter, or rain in the afternoons. He started reading the newspapers the guys would leave on the loading dock at the work from their lunch, so he could talk about current events with her. They never touched their past. There was an after-hours club about a block off Bourbon Street where all the jazz guys from the main tourist places would go after Bourbon Street began to close. On those nights, they might eat, then go to his place and get it on and then nap and then go back out at 3 in the morning to hear the best music there was. Then, a couple of years ago, it began to go away. She got busy with more customers and he started drinking heavy almost every night he was alone.